Trying to record some of my thoughts right now after just watching Kraven. This is why I don't listen to the complainers at freaking all. Seriously, what in the world were people talking about? Now I just don't know what was even going on. You will be entertained. The film is a blast, and the R rating certainly helps. I'm so tired of people just bitching and moaning about every freaking thing. The MCU, Star Wars, the VenomVerse. How did the VenomVerse even get complainers in the first place? Because these people weren't even having high hopes for them. These people weren't expecting anything. And yet they complain and complain. Meanwhile, I go into these movies with low expectations. And I am never disappointed. This did not piss me off like BVS or Dark Fate. I'll talk about that when I get back home. One more thing. These people were expecting Spider-Man, even though Marvel has Peter. And they had the nerve to call these movies cash grabs. But you know what Sony could have done that would have been a cash grab? Use Ben Reilly as a legal loophole. Like how Marvel had to use Hulk in Avengers movies and Thor 3, and the Arrowverse had to use Batwoman because they can't use Batman. But Sony didn't even go that route. Okay, I'm back home. I don't even want to spoil the whole movie. I'm trying to talk about some details. You got the very start of the movie. They did not waste any time getting to the action. Bunch of scenes in Russia, mainly a Russian prison. Couldn't help but think, hey, where's Red Guardian at? And the actor, Quicksilver's actor, speaking in Russian, there was more Russian talk in those early scenes than Scarlett spoke Russian through 10 years. Seriously. And it's weird that the actor never spoke in a Russian accent while speaking English, but still, he spoke in Russian way more than Scarlett ever did. And he was in prison on purpose, hunting down a target. Did something Frank Castle pulls all the time. Then it cuts to his origin story, and it was fine. Also, he did not get his powers from a lion, like people assumed. He got these powers from a potion from Calypso's family. Not that Calypso, this one. A Marvel character I certainly never knew about. And I checked some details. A voodoo Haitian witch. I mean, okay. Like the character in the movie was a lawyer for most of her life, but she got some secrets, like a secret bloodline. And she's a freaking voodoo Haitian witch. Like, okay, got my curiosity there. And in the comics, this is what she looks like. Okay, say less. How the hell did Sony get some good diversity right and had the balls to use a diverse character from the comics? Yet Marvel and DC got a tough time doing that. And I will get back to this character. Kraven's powers being from a potion is not any different to what he normally does. Look at Kraven back in the Spider-Man 3 game. As a boss fight, he had all these different freaking potions having different animal abilities. And in the Insomniac game, he is using metahuman drugs. Using that stuff to keep up with these metahumans. So this route the movie went is fine. Oh, and remember way back when there was a leak saying that in this movie, Kraven was going to be a freaking animal rights activist. That did not happen. In fact, the only time he clearly likes animals are these buffalo in his mother's homeland. And he was hunting people that were messing with that land. Not any different from Black Adam or T'Challa. You mess with the home turf, they're gonna f you up. Next, Kraven had two villains to fight. There wasn't just Rhino. There was this villain called the Foreigner. I had no idea who the f this is. I never heard of this character. Look at him up, he looks like a freaking knockoff Ray Castle. And he used to be married to Silver Sable. This dude has the strength and the skills. He's as good of a fighter as Cap or Daredevil. And he has one ability where he has this hypnosis if he looks at you. A 10-second hypnosis. He must have been a boss fight in Insomniac Spider-Man 1 in the DLC. So I wouldn't know because I didn't play it. Also, Kraven was having a tough time against this guy because he basically used fear gas tranquilizers, trying to manipulate fears. Kraven has an issue with spiders because of his mother, but he figured out what was going on pretty quickly. If he met Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it'd be on sight. And now we got the Rhino. I want to see this Rhino versus Bruce Banner because this dude is a twisted evil scientist. And the reason he's like that, they mentioned the Jackal. He got these powers because of the freaking Jackal. And no one can say that this design is not better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I know that version is the Ultimate's version of Rhino. That's a dude in a mech suit. But still. And Kraven, despite his powers, he was getting his ass beat. Had to go stab a weak point to beat him. And even then, put this freaking car wire on him, almost did him like Clayton. And Mufasa. And back to the Jackal. There's Kraven's brother, who let's be real, he's a punk ass bitch, okay? Okay, he was a punk through the whole movie, and certainly still is a punk. And I say that because at the end of the movie, after Rhino is beaten a year later, Kraven is chilling with his brother, he finds out that his brother went to New York and met the Jackal like Rhino did and turned him into the Chameleon, which is actually the case in the comics. Kraven's brother is Chameleon. I went in with low expectations, and I wasn't disappointed. I had a smile on my face. Again, unlike BVS and unlike Dark Fate. And yeah, I edited that because that movie should have been its own IP. It should have just been called Dark Fate. It did not deserve the Terminator name. And I assure you it would have done better. I certainly would have looked at that movie like, damn, they really committed to making a Terminator knockoff. Even got Schwarzenegger. Anyway, this is supposedly the last VenomVerse film, and it certainly went out with some entertainment. So let's rank these off. Rank at number 1, the Venom trilogy, when that should not have happened. We live in a world where Venom has a good trilogy before Superman. And rank number 2, Kraven. Mainly because of the R rating. Venom 3 should have been R rated. Number 3, Morbius. And number 4, Madam Web. And not for lack of trying or anything. In fact, my only issue with Madam Web was them teasing those 3 suits. But really, they're never going to use them until a couple of years later. And here's why. This is a rumor, so take this with a grain of salt. Apparently, Sony's license on the Spider-Man IP is starting to run out because they are taking so freaking long to get Spider-Man 4 in the works. The complainers want to act like, Kraven is so bad, that's why this universe is done. No, Sony gotta get back to freaking work on Spider-Man 4 and Spider-Verse Part 3. Get that done first, then go to Spider-Man 4. So there's possibly a chance Marvel will finally have everything back home. And now let's talk about the VenomVerse in general. Marvel wouldn't have to start completely over like they're doing with X-Men and Fantastic Four and like they did with Spider-Man. And with that being said, Deadpool 3, that was the goodbye to the Fox era of X-Men. So don't act like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, those old eras, won't get a goodbye too. No one can say Sony didn't try other things, and they basically did a lot of the work for Marvel, like Venom and the symbiote CGI, tying in the VenomVerse with the MCU multiverse. Marvel can easily have Madam Web meet Doctor Strange, and if they have to, put the old makeup on her like they did with Chris Evans. And don't forget, a piece of Venom is left on Earth 616, so seeing Venom again, that's covered. We will certainly see Null again in a huge Marvel crossover. And don't pretend Calypso would not be a cool villain for Wicked. And all the anti-heroes, they can just be variants. They can just be full villains as variants in 616 or other Earths. Y'all know Marvel will get Aaron back. And don't lie, don't say y'all don't want to see bitch Kraven fighting Wolverine. Or Shuri. Or if Marvel uses the Ultimates Earth as a soft reboot, see that Kraven as Ultimates Kraven versus Ultimates T'Challa. That would be sick. Kraven versus Morbius, that would have been a sick fight. But speaking of Morbius, if the MCU Blade movie still gets made, that takes place in the past. And in the comics, Morbius bit Blade. The movie can easily set up Morbius and reveal him later, still be Jared Leto and be in white makeup this time. Just be a full-on villain and be Blade's villain. If Sony's license is really running out, Marvel got all the pieces and can just build on top of them. And y'all can still have the Sinister Six involved with Null. In just one huge crossover, and here's one thing they can do. Have Null just wreck that Earth. Maybe the Toby Spider-Man and Andrew Spider-Man Earths too. And barely have any survivors. One last thing. People that claim they want originality, yet bash on stuff that's actually different, like Kraven, y'all can't complain when studios rather stick with the old stuff they know. Y'all can't complain like, why does Marvel cast Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom instead of casting Cillian Murphy? Y'all can't do that because y'all bash on the new and original shit. So the studios rather stick with the old shit. Venom 3 is damn good. I can't believe we live in a world where Venom got a good modern trilogy, yet Superman still doesn't. Now, people that want to bitch about the movie and nitpick everything, y'all are just no fun. And we really got to talk about the spoilers, so if you don't want to know, scroll up now, final warning. Now, first of all, Null. Remember when everyone was worried, everyone assumed Sony was going to screw up this villain and have him defeated right away? That didn't happen. He's just getting built up, as he should. He's sealed up in his domain. Now, the movie version of his origin, the symbiotes turned on him, which is why the symbiotes in the first movie were running. They were running from Null. They know he's coming. In the comics, the Celestials sealed him up. But of course, Sony can't use the Celestials, so they work with what they got. And Eddie Brock and Venom are so important because they have the strongest bond of a host and a symbiote. Because back in the first movie when Eddie got stabbed and Venom brought him back, that caused them to have this codex, which is the only thing that can set Null free. So he sends his forces, this xenophage, out to hunt them down to get this codex. And they can only see them when they're fully merged, when they're fully Venom. Otherwise, that thing couldn't see them. And this thing was so OP! Eddie and Brock were trying to get to New York. They grabbed onto a plane, so they must have flown for a couple of miles. But when they were fully Venom and the xenophage saw them, he just jumped, just whoosh, to them in seconds. This thing was freaking fast. And so powerful too. Next, we got more of those variants. Of course, there was Area 51 catching other symbiotes. And because, again, back in the first movie when the symbiotes crashed, they found other symbiotes, other pieces. So the Life Foundation weren't the only ones that found symbiotes. And you think his character would be the douchebag military type that just wants to do the mission no matter what, doesn't care that the target's good or not. He actually cared about his men that the xenophage took out, and near the end he knew what had to be done. Because back to the Codex, the only way to get rid of this thing was if the host or the symbiote RIP. And Area 51 knew that because they were talking to another symbiote and host, the one from the trailer, which is Toxin, but it has a green look, like Lasher. It certainly didn't look like Toxin from the comics, the one that is good but has to fight the symbiote's urges. So Eddie and Brock are on the run. They bump into this family that were on a road trip to Area 51 and wants to see aliens and shit. And later, Eddie and Venom were in Vegas. Some goofy stuff for a bit. And it was fine. Even one bit where Venom was dancing with Miss Chen. But screwing around letting the xenophage to them. So they suit off so the thing wouldn't see them, and then the military guys took them. Next, there's just the best part in the movie where all the symbiotes were jumping the xenophage. Like we see these other symbiotes, they were all good guys. And they all jumped this thing, or tried to. And the Mortal variant saw that, hey, they're freaking good guys, they're trying to help you out. Now this definitely makes up for the first movie. We remember the trailers where they set up the other symbiotes, the other 5 of the squad. But then the movie came out, and Riot was the only one where the others got axed off screen at that. So seeing all these symbiotes fighting this thing, that definitely makes up for that. It's just the coolest thing in the entire movie. Unfortunately, a lot of them got wrecked. Because, again, this xenophage is just OP. Too freaking strong. And then it calls for another one. Everybody was just getting whooped. So, near the end, Venom knows what has to be done. He sacrifices himself, drags the other xenophage, because there was starting to be even more of them, dragged them all to this one spot to get a bunch of acid poured on all of them. Because this thing just kept regenerating before, so just melt them down to the molecular level. The Mortal variant sacrificed himself too. He had a grenade on him, just to help confirm the elimination. And there was this huge explosion, and one of the scientists saved another one, had another symbiote on her in this little vial. So she gets a symbiote too, and hers is a freaking speedster. But definitely because she definitely picked up some superpowers when she was shocked by lightning as a kid. Speaking of that symbiote, Agony, freaking Fortnite spoiled that one for me. I saw that on PSN, they were showing new skins, and one of them was Agony. I thought, there's no way they would spoil the movie like that. They did. I guess I gotta unfollow the game so I don't get any info on my newsfeed. But yeah, Venom is gone. Venom got a heroic sacrifice. And not only that, the trailer, the tagline for this movie, hinting that someone's not making it. They actually deliver. I don't bash on Ant-Man 3, but Venom does what Ant-Man 3 didn't. When they were teasing that Scott might not survive. Venom 3 delivered on somebody being RIP permanently. Dude didn't get to see New York, which Eddie Brock now lives in. I was gonna lose it if there was gonna be a Spider-Man mention, but no. So Venom is gone. And the bad news is that no, things are not over. Even in the post-credit scene, he says your champion is gone. If Venom is forever gone, when Null's buildup is done, that means he won't be the one to beat him. He had this OP axe where he combined, Mjolnir and Silver Surfer's board. So you know what they better do? They better set up anti-Venom And on the other side of things, I know that, remember, in Earth 616, one piece of Venom remains. So Holland is going to be dealing with that. And one other thing I was thinking about, since Eddie Brock's Venom was all goofy, Holland's Venom will be the full-on evil one. I mean, jeez, the MCU is going to be in trouble in the future. Heck, the rest of the VenomVerse will be in trouble too. Okay, first off, all the future stuff that's coming apparently, let's see, it's Doom, and apparently the Beyonder, and apparently Kang. But now, Null too? And on Sony's side of things, Vulture, Morbius, Kraven, probably Rhino too, and Madam Web and the Spider-Woman on the other side, they will get whooped by Null too. And especially Toby and Andrew Spidey too, because they never dealt with MCU level shit on their Earths. Heck, they don't even got the Avengers on their Earths. Okay, I just got back from watching Morbius and it was a blast. I don't know what people are talking about. Now, at the time of this recording, it's April 1st, so I don't know if people are making April Fool's jokes or if they're being legit. But I saw comments bashing on this movie the day before, so it must be legit. You Sonyverse bashers are now 3 for 3. First, y'all bash on Venom. That turned out to be good. Then Venom 2 turned out to be good. Now Morbius, it is good. Like, really, what else does Sony have to do? I'll add in a picture right here to sum up this whole thing. Just really, how many times